and after my opening, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So, for my opening today, I wanted to do something a little bit different. For the past couple of months, we have had a change in Kaysville. We had our city manager leave, Shane Scott, a couple months ago. And we had someone that's just absolutely outstanding that has stood up and taken his place and been our city manager. So I kind of want to just take a minute here to talk about Dean's story. And embarrass you just a little bit, Dean. Dean has done such a fantastic job leading our city. I was really nervous when I first heard that Shane was going to leave, only because, Shane was very well liked here. The staff really appreciated him, and kind of being new myself as the mayor, I wanted to make sure that we had a lot of continuity and we just had a seamless transition. And so Dean has just been an absolute fantastic resource. I am so grateful personally to you for all of the things that you've done. You've led us through some interesting times during these last couple of months, and you've done such a great job, Dean, and I'm just proud to know you and so grateful for the opportunity to get to know you better. If anyone on the council would like to say something, I'm going to turn the time over to you guys. If you don't have anything to share, then we have a little bit of a small presentation. Anyone?
Mayor?
Yes.
If I may. Before Dean took over this role, I was impressed with him, but he's just done such an amazing job. Anytime I had a question, he was there to answer, and he always wants to make sure that you understand and that you have the information you need. And he's really put 110% into this. You would think for a short stint, maybe someone would be like, all right, I'm just here to fill a gap and do that thing. But that's definitely not what Dean has done. I went up to help with sandbags on a Sunday, and he was there. I showed up at other places, and Dean was there, doing everything that a city manager would do. And I just really look up to Dean for his work on that, and just want to say thanks, Dean.
Thank you.
I just want to say that I have known Dean for a long time, and I knew he could do it. Yeah. I had every bit of confidence in him. I knew he could do it.
Well, and I will just add that when I was talking to the council about, what should we do, Mike said, Dean, call Dean. And I wanted to do that anyway, and so just having Mike's confidence in him, it really helped me to feel even more confident. And Shane was also very supportive of that, so thanks.
Mine real quick. I'm probably the only one in here that got to call Dean Bishop Story, because when we first moved to Kaysville, he was our bishop, and so for me, it's he's imparted wisdom to me for a long, long time, and just thank you so much. We appreciate the hell out of you.
From one of your members. I was going to say, that says a lot. I figured that would be coming.
That's great.
I'm sort of amazed that you didn't do a veto when you saw that he had thrown his name in to run, since you knew him. But no, Dean, just really appreciative. Every time, I come in with any question, always happy to spend and take the time, and appreciate all you do. And we'll miss you as the city manager, interim, and you won't miss that. But we're glad we get to keep you as our financial. So.
And I agree with everyone on the stand. It's been a pleasure to work with you. You've been doing the job of three people, essentially, and you make it look really easy. And I know that from what I've heard from city staff and in our discussions, it's just been fantastic working with you. And you've really helped us to through the budget process and through kind of the change of pace and saying goodbye to our former city manager and just not skipping a beat. So really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, will you meet me down here? Yeah. Dan, I should have invited the department heads to be here, but it's not, you're not retiring, so. You're just retiring as our city manager. Yes, yes. Okay, so Dean, this is our award to you. It's Greatest of All Time City Manager, Dean Story from February to June 2023. Thank you. You can't retire, but anyway, thank you. Okay, thank you. Since that went just a minute, we'll go ahead and do the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. We have 3 people that have signed up to speak during call to the public. So if you'll come up in this order, you'll have 3 minutes. Val Starkey, Sydney King, and John Anderson.
Hi, Val Starkey, 573 South, 350 East. I'm here to encourage the deliberations regarding the budget and give some information, because I think, like you and we hear different things, okay? So first item, I have a quote from CNN today who says that Dollar Tree cut its annual outlook and stock plunged. Company said shoppers were stocking up on necessities and buying fewer discretionary goods. The question is Kaysville? Are we paying attention to necessities or discretionary goods? Walmart, on the other hand, is gaining sales. They have a swath of customers, and about half of the sales comes from groceries, okay? But here's the interesting comment. Walmart said wealthier households have been shopping in their stores more frequently, okay? A report from what's called the Economic Blog, and it says economic activities have been dropping all over the nation. Gross domestic income has fallen for 2 quarters now, and the Conference Board's index of the economic indicators now has been plummeting for 13 months, okay? So I appreciate the work you've been doing. My encouragement is let's keep working. Utah has some growth, okay? KSL just put out an article today talking about the various counties. Most counties in Utah, the big ones, have been growing. There's only 2 or 3 that have declined, okay? So there may be a benefit to what Kaysville City has seen. I talked to the mayor earlier, and that may be something we could look at, but it may not be significant, okay? Because Kaysville's got very much fixed boundary, and most of the influx is going to be changing houses. I want to end with, we have a son who doesn't live in Utah, but because of COVID, because of the economic trouble in the country and his bed business, he's had 3 bed stores, he's gone bankrupt, okay? A lot of it from COVID, a lot of it from the change of marketing. We have 3 friends who are now widows. Only one of the 3 lives in Kaysville. But today, in the House of Representatives in Washington, they passed the spending and the big bill that says we can supply more time.
Thank you.
Apparently 6 agreed, and Mike Lee said, don't think so.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Sydney?
Mayor, council, I'm going to read so that I can make sure I get through this without letting me alarm. I just wanted to take a minute to address you and introduce myself. I'm Sydney King. I own the Good Spray Car Wash. I've owned it since 2008. The car wash itself was built in 1994. When this wash was built, that's what the industry was. It was a self-serve industry. Today, the car wash market, like most everything, has grown exponentially and technically into a huge market of tunnel washes with equipment and chemicals that get a car beautifully clean. With the subscription model taking hold, tunnel washes have sprung up everywhere and proven to be a business model that has drawn private equity businesses and family businesses alike to scramble to get into the market. For those of us that own self-serve car wash, the car wash will never really go away because of folks like a couple of you that come by my car wash like to hand wash. It's a proven fact, though, that it is safer for the ecology, for our waterways, and it conserves more water to use a car wash than washing in your driveway. Most folks don't understand that. Why am I telling you, the Kaysville City Council, this? Because it is essential to your city to plan an approach for growth and a vision. And I appreciate that plan that considers where and how to accomplish those visions for our future citizens. Melinda Greenwood has explained very generally what your vision is, mainly in regard to the business segment of automotive. Here's where I am to express this concern. To give you history, if you don't already know, I also own the corner lot that I bought from Kaysville City in order to control what kind of business would go there so that we would become a destination, a good thing for the city, and improve the control and vision of that. Burger King was denied in 2015 the ability to build there because of the deed restriction which Romneys have put on my lot in the car wash side. The corner does not have those deed restrictions. Let me get you to understand that for the last 8 years, many of us have begged and pleaded Romneys to remove that deed restriction, and to this day, they deny us that right. We continue to operate the car wash. To today, the business I grow that every year. But we have continued to try to market that corner lot. Nobody wants to be there. We have approached Starbucks, Dutch Brothers, Beans and Brews, therapy businesses. They don't like the neighborhood. It is unattractive. So the question is, make no mistake, my appeal to you today is a financial one. Boldly, it is a financial one. My property is very valuable as a car wash, and the ability to extend that into a self-serve tunnel. If I tear it down and put something else there, I will lose the money that the potential of a car wash would be. So my question is to the city, how do you change? How do you make that vision with what's there right now?
Thank you, Sydney.
Thank you.
John.
So, John is,
Oh, okay.
I just want to explain, John is going to be here with us.
Okay.
He's representing Quick Quack.
Okay. Oh, there's John. Okay. Okay, John, come on down, John. You have 3 minutes. So, we are expeditious over here.
My name is John Anderson. I live in Pleasant Grove, Utah, and my office is in Provo. We represent Quick Quack Car Wash in 4 states. We've done probably 100 locations for them. They have about 200 and something so far. We were very interested in doing this car wash in Kaysville. The one thing that I understand is that you have an ordinance that's pending that would limit car washes. I first of all might caution you that the free market will usually take care of that. If they don't need another Wendy's or McDonald's, then it probably won't be built. But in the 50s, when burger establishments were just coming to be, the cities would say, we don't really need another burger place because we just need a restaurant for people to go sit down and have a meal. And they didn't understand that burgers were going to be kind of the new thing, and so it became, what it is. So we have locations in North Salt Lake, in Bountiful, North Bountiful, Centerville, Layton, Riverdale Road. We're basically surrounding this with a lot of demand for a car wash in this area, notwithstanding that you have other car washes that will come here. So be that as it may, you're welcome as a community to limit car washes if that's what you want to do. Our position is that it's really unfair to people who already own a car wash to limit them so that they can't use their land for a car wash. Not only is there a problem with aesthetics, because you want to make that a walkable area and people want to have that a pretty downtown, so people go by and see this old car wash that's kind of run down, and it was nice at one point when it was built, but it is not anymore. And so Quick Quack does a state-of-the-art car wash. So it's not only aesthetics, it's also functionality. There's a lot of technology that's come in since that car wash was built, particularly recycled water. We're the only car wash in St. George, for instance, that qualifies for their recycled water requirements, so that we can recycle water and save water. You know, it takes about 150 gallons of water to wash your car in your driveway, and the amount of water that we use, fresh water, is about as much as it took you to take a shower today per car. Oh. So, and the rest of that's recycled. So, so we hope that you will. Let me see if I got this or if I picked up the wrong thing. I'll just do it by memory. We hope that on that, if you do pass that limitation, that you will also say, notwithstanding the above, those who own a car wash are allowed to improve it, expand it, update it, and enhance it, etc. So
thank you.
that's what I'm hoping for.
Okay, thank you very much. Nope. Thank you, though.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any conflicts of interest, anyone? Nope. Okay, no conflicts to declare. We are on item 4. It's a consent item, award for bid for 400 West Waterline Replacement Project. Do we have a motion?
I don't have my reading glasses, so I can't.
Okay, okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve consent item A, award of bid for 400 West Waterline Replacement Project.
Thank you.
I can second.
You can second. Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. Comments or questions? No, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Blackham.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We're on to number 5, work items. A, an ordinance prohibiting pedestrian travel on the West Davis corridor. I'll turn the time to present this to Nick.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. It's good to be with you tonight. I'll have this item and the next item. These are 2 ordinance changes, and I just want you to know that I've worked with Chief Oberg and Chief Ellington on both these, and they have their approval. So they're aware of these and are in favor of them. So the travel on West Davis corridor came after a conversation I had with Officer Rich one evening. He called me up, and there were a couple of people that were walking their dog on area that is going to be the West Davis corridor. And he asked, is there's a code other than this code that we've been using, which is driving or operating a vehicle on a closed road, which fits people walking on the road. And after we looked at it, there is nothing that fits for pedestrians. We would like to prohibit people or deter people from walking on that area. UDOT spends a lot of time grading that and preparing that, and several times, I'm not sure the details on West Davis, but on projects UDOT's done, they've gone out, they've graded it, vehicles have driven up and down it over the weekend, and then they've had to restart on Monday. They weren't able to pave. There's also a lot of dangers there for pedestrians that they might not be aware of, and our officers are stationed down there to try and protect that and protect the state's investment in that. And what we'd like to do with this ordinance, the current ordinance they've been citing with includes pedestrians and vehicles, and that's a Class B misdemeanor, and it's a $690 fine. We'd like to create something for pedestrians which has a lesser impact so that it was closer to a traffic ticket, a $130 speeding ticket. So this code would do that. It would still, we would keep vehicles off the road and cite them under that Class B misdemeanor, which we feel is appropriate because of the damage they caused. But this would allow us to cite people for walking in that area past all those signs that say it's closed and you should stay out, and allow them to pay a lower fine. So that's the impetus for this ordinance, and I'm happy to address any questions.
Thank you, Nick. So just for clarification, we already have signs that say don't walk and don't drive. So will the new sign be, we're serious, you're going to get a fine?
No.
Or how would we?
We wouldn't change the signage at all. The
Okay.
signage would stay the same. What this would do is this would allow the officer on scene to issue this citation, a violation of this city ordinance, and then they could call the court up, and if they wanted to, they could just pay it.
Okay.
Right now, it's a Class B misdemeanor, so that's, I mean, a Class B misdemeanor is punishable by up to 180 days in jail.
Right.
We're not sending people to jail for this.
Okay.
Even with their vehicles, but when they hear that on the phone with the court, they get nervous and the court says, well, you can pay the $700, and then
Okay.
people come talk to me. We'd like to be able to create a system, kind of like when you get a speeding ticket.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't want to fight it, you can call up and just pay it.
Okay.
That's what we'd like to do with this.
Okay. Thanks. So this is a work item. Comments, anyone? Questions?
Yeah, just
ahead.
clarification. Yeah, just clarification. So this is basically while the road is under construction. Any indication once vehicles are allowed on and it's used, if like road bikers or that's the first thing that came to my mind. Would people be able to use the side, or would it be treated like Legacy Highway or whatnot?
Yeah, absolutely. So once it's completed, then this would sunset, this would go away, and it would automatically be repealed by the language of the statute. And then we have a lot of enforcement tools that we can use as we would in any other road condition.
Okay.
But just right now, it's kind of a weird, pedestrians on the roadway kind of fall in this weird, we don't feel like it's Class B $700 fine offenses, but we also don't want them.
Yeah, I think this makes perfect sense and allows our police to have more tools and stuff, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just a question.
Go ahead.
So like this and the one you're going to do next, where they're owned by UDOT, does that mean anything?
So on this one, no, it's just area in the city that
Okay.
We've talked about potentially citing these people with trespass, but that's also a Class B misdemeanor. We didn't feel like that was appropriate. We want to create something less, but UDOT has asked us, and I believe, I could be wrong, but I think they're supplementing some of those shifts down there in an effort to keep people off of the corridor while it's
So
under construction.
what do you think the fine will be for somebody if they get cited?
$160. That's the standard fine for a city ordinance violation.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So you guys comfortable with it? It sounds like we are. So, okay. Do we need a motion to move it to an action item?
That would be staff's
Okay.
request, yeah.
Anyone?
I'll do the motion. Here we go. I'll make a motion that we move work item A, an ordinance prohibiting pedestrians traveling on the West Davis corridor. That's how it ends. There's no period. But also with their dogs and dog poop. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Is anybody going to second it?
I will second that.
There we
Okay,
go.
we have a motion and a second. Comments, questions? All right, Councilmember Adams.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Work item B, an ordinance prohibiting parking in park and ride lots. Nick.
This one's mine as well, and this also came out of a conversation I had with several patrol officers. Currently, our city code prohibits 48-hour parking in municipal property, but the park and ride lot just right here on 200 is not municipal property. It's owned by the state. We have an agreement. This goes to Councilmember Blackham's question. We have an agreement with the state that will patrol that, and that will enforce the law in that area so that the highway patrol doesn't have to come off the freeway to patrol that. It's just a little easier for us to respond to. So that's great. UDOT's cleared us to enforce laws there, but we just don't have, the code as it was written did not include the ability, because it's UDOT property, to enforce there. And we've noticed that we've had a couple of RVs and trailers that have been parked there for an extended period of time, and we'd like the ability to get those moved back to the owners' homes.
Right.
And does this only, sorry,
Councilmember Blackham.
does this only pertain to public property, private property, stores? Because the only reason I'm asking this is I was riding my bicycle home from Layton yesterday, and I went behind Walmart, and I don't think it was Walmart. I think it was one of the other businesses there. There are a couple of homeless people living in the parking lot back there, and I'm sure they don't like that. And I would think that you would want an ordinance to prohibit that. Will this do that?
This won't do that, but typically what happens under those circumstances is the business is free to call the police department and say, I'd like these people trespassed from the property. And then we can do that. But with private property, we leave that to the property owner to determine. So Walmart in Layton could, or whoever owns that property, could in theory, call the Layton Police Department and say, these people are here, I don't want them here on the property anymore or parking their vehicle here anymore, and they could handle that. And we do that frequently, as our police department does that frequently, and that's how we handle that situation.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other?
Yeah.
Councilmember Oaks.
Cool. So, and my question on the 48, you may have answered it, because I was thinking, there might be occasions where, hey, I'm going out of state, let's park it there for a 3-day weekend. And so I was one of the 48 versus 72, but I think you answered that in that we already have an ordinance for city property and stuff that doesn't go past 48. Right. And that's why it mirrored that.
Yes. We've just added this. We've added the phrase park and ride lot to our 48-hour rule. So,
okay.
If you took your trailer down to Barnes Park, you could park it there Friday night. You can't camp there, but you could park it there and leave your car there overnight and come back in the morning. And we have no problem with that. A lot of people will carpool to work or something, and they'll stay wherever. They can leave their car in the public property for up to 48 hours, but after that, then we'd like them to move it to their own property.
Okay, no, that makes sense. Okay, thanks.
Councilmember Jackson.
So quick question. So I'm thinking about trailers, a private property with wheels and whatnot. What about repeat offenders? Because I think the 48-hour rule is appropriate for various circumstances. But if you have folks that, I don't know, they just park their trailer there for 48 hours and then they move it for a day and then they put it back. Is there any recourse for that type of action, or it may not happen, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, we currently don't have anything that addresses that, and that can be problematic in a number of situations. Sometimes people will refuse to park in their own driveway and they park on the street.
Yeah.
That's problematic. We're trying to balance is all the good citizens that use the park and ride lot, that use parks and parking lots and city streets to park on, trying to balance their ability to use that and not be interfered with the few bad actors that we do have.
Sure.
And so 48 hours seems like fairly common through not only Kaysville, but in almost every municipality I've worked for. 48 hours is kind of the cutoff that they've used.
Okay.
People do abuse that sometimes, but it deters a lot of the problems. And what it allows our police department to do is after 48 hours, they can come out and they can have those vehicles towed, and then there's a fee associated with them, the owner getting that out of tow, and that deters a lot of it.
Okay. Is there a fee to the city, or do they have to go to the courts or whatever?
No, there's not a fee to the city. The city doesn't incur any cost for that. The way I understand it is that the tow company assumes that liability and holds the vehicle as collateral.
Okay. Excellent.
to get the money out.
Okay, Councilmember Hunt.
I know it's a small like addition, but is it going to put a lot of extra like strain on the police department, or, and I can't remember if you'd already said that Chief Oberg was on board on this one, but do you feel like they'll be okay with it?
I do, and in fact, they're already responding to calls there. And one of the reasons that we've done this is so that they have some ability to enforce this and to say to people parking there, like, you can only park 48 hours, because they're already getting calls about RVs and cars that are stuck there. And again, this is kind of an odd situation because it's public property, but the code only allows municipal property, enforcement on municipal property. And this would add that. And we feel comfortable with that because of that agreement we have with UDOT. I think it's an agreement from like 1972 that we've been enforcing the law in that area. And for most things, it's fine. If you have public intox or any kind of criminal activity, we can enforce there, but parking is not covered by state code. Parking is left to municipalities by the state legislature largely, and we feel like this addition will help our police officers be able to enforce and fix some of these problems.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Okay, it looks like we might be ready for a motion. Does someone want to move this to an action item?
I can,
Okay.
unless she wants to.
No, go ahead, Mike.
Oh,
I mean, Councilmember Blackham.
I say we move the item B, an ordinance prohibiting parking in the park and ride, to an action item.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Comments? Seeing none.
Do we need to be specific on that motion, the 48-hour?
I think it's already written in the code.
Okay, so,
It's just adding the language.
Okay, Councilmember Hunt.
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. We are on 5C, budget discussion, and I'll turn the time over for this discussion to Dean. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Mayor. We just tonight have a few items, follow-up items related to the budget we want to talk about. The first item is related to the schedule and the action items. You can see that for our next meeting on June 15th, it'll be a busy meeting. We have several public hearings scheduled. Redevelopment Agency, Municipal Building Authority, a hearing related to enterprise interfund services and transfers, and then a budget hearing related to the amendment of the FY23 budget and consideration of the 24 budget. And then later on in that meeting, you'll have action items related to adoption of the budget. After that, August 3rd, we will plan on our truth and taxation hearing, and then August 17th, adoption of the final budget, or an alternative date prior to September 1st, 2023. So that kind of gives you a schedule of what's coming up. And then we just have a couple items we wanted to make you aware of. We've been talking about sales tax, and we wanted to give you a quick update on sales tax. And we have just recently received the sales tax numbers for April of 2023. And you can see that the last 4 months or so, sales tax are running pretty flat. We were hoping that we would see a little more increase, but they're running pretty flat. So our budget number for the 24 tentative budget is 7.8 million. And if they continue to run flat, it'll be about that amount that we've budgeted. We were hoping we would be able to budget more than that, but I think we're comfortable with our budget estimate for sales tax.
Okay.
The next item is related to the certified tax rate. We're still waiting on the county to receive our assessed values.
Hey, Dean, real quick, just on that last page, so you said we just got April's, did you mean March? Because April.
I'm sorry, yes, I did mean that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
And I think your mic's off. We can still hear you. but-
Okay, you can still hear me. I'm really loud.
Oh, wait.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, there's about a 2-month lag on it.
Okay.
He doesn't have the numbers. Oh, he should. He's just-
Good job on estimating that sales tax. It's a tricky thing, but I said great job on estimating.
Said it.
Sales tax is what you thought, so.
And then the next item is the certified rate. Go ahead.
Just a quick question on that. The April, May, June, you said it's running flat. When do we get those specific numbers in?
They're about 2 months behind.
Behind, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
We anticipate those about the 25th of each month,
Okay,
but they're always a lag of 2 months.
okay, so,
Assessed values, if you remember how property taxes work, you are guaranteed the same amount of revenue that you received the prior year, plus any new growth. So this is from the website, from the property tax, the state tax commission. And it's hard to read, but at the very bottom, you can see 2022 budgeted revenue, $4,060,000, right there. And that would be the amount of revenue we would receive without any additional new growth. They have not provided the new growth number yet. There is one change this year is Animal Control Services has a new funding model. They have a separate tax levy. So they have reduced our revenue by the amount of the payment to the Davis County Animal Control. So it turns into $4,369,422. We're estimating property tax of $4,525,000, hoping that we'll have about $150,000 in new growth. And we think we'll be fairly close on that. And then when we left off on the tentative budget, we have a proposal of an additional tax revenue of $1,097,000.
And that 150,000 is based upon our CDs, right? The rates on the CDs? Okay.
So if I may ask, so the county levied a huge tax increase on us with property taxes just this last year, isn't that? I mean, so what do we see from that? Not much?
No, this is just the city tax rate. So
Okay.
there are several.
That's not from the property, okay, I thought I heard property tax, okay.
This is property tax, but there are several taxing entities within the county. The county, the school district, Weaver Basin, mosquito abatement.
Yeah,
And your overall property tax bill, the cities receive about 12% of the overall tax, the property tax bill. So this represents the
12%.
tax,
okay,
Kaysville City tax.
okay. Well, that was a pretty big increase for the city not to get much of.
So Dean, the part we're losing from animal control is the part the city was paying. Now, they're gonna become a new taxing entity like
Right.
mosquito abatement, right? So they'll be on so you're gonna pay a lot
so-
more than what we've been paying, but it's
Yeah,
gonna be a
so the-
separate,
You're absolutely right, Mike, that the taxpayer will now get a separate tax from animal control.
right,
To make up the difference.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
just, can I ask a question based on that? Are we expecting that tax to be like just across the board, a flat tax with everyone, or is it based on the number of calls
It's
For-
based on property value.
for the animal control, or? Huh.
I thought it'd be based on the number of animals, so that Councilmember Adams would just pay more.
That would be the fair way to do it.
Well, that's the way they
You're gonna pay a
traditionally
lot
done it,
more.
is based on number of service calls. But they've changed the model from service calls to a tax on assessed value.
Okay, that's really interesting.
They won't.
All right. Thank you, Dean.
Another item, at your next council meeting, you will adopt the consolidated fee schedule. We have worked closely with department heads and reviewed all of our fees, and we have some proposed changes. Most of these changes are minor to simplify some of the charges. This first page, you'll see an increase in sewer rates. That is actually a pass-through from Central Davis Sewer District. They're increasing their sewer rates by $3 per month. And then Melinda and her team have put together a fee schedule for community development. Mainly just minor increases. And then recreation has tried to simplify the fee structure on recreation.
I do like the upfront deposit for plan reviews. That's smart.
And Levi, I don't know if you have anything else to add on
I was
those.
just going to
Levi
add,
worked on those. Yeah.
on those top two, Melinda wanted to make sure you understood that's not an increase in the rate. It's just requiring a deposit now.
Mhm. Right.
So they have some skin in the game to follow through with it. So,
Which is really nice because we get stuck when they don't.
Okay. And item number 4 is budget amendments, fiscal year 23. We don't have any information tonight for you on that, but just to make you aware that at our next city council meeting, there will be a budget hearing and a budget amendment for fiscal year 23. We're still working through those, but there are some amendments that we know about now. Obviously, there will be an amendment related to the fire truck purchase. There will be an amendment related to additional materials and overtime for snow plowing for this year. There will be an amendment related to the Connector Road project. We're receiving funding from Davis County on that, so there will be an amendment. And we'll work through those next week and have some numbers ready for you at that hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and the last item on our list is an adjustment of the tentative budget on interest earnings. We met with our investment advisors this past week, and we believe we can add additional revenue to the tentative budget related to interest earnings. We're locking in some of our investments now for 18 months or greater than 5%. And you can see on this chart, this is the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, which we have a portion of our money invested here. And if you go back and look at April of 2022, we were earning about 61, 62 basis points on our investments, and now they're above 5%.
That's great.
So, I mean, if there's anything good about this budget, it's interest earnings.
And inflation was what?
Yeah, and we feel comfortable that that's going to continue for 12 to 18 months, so we're comfortable amending our budget to account for additional interest earnings, which will allow us to lessen the impact of a property tax increase. So our tentative budget we will reduce the ask by about $150,000.
That's what I was going to ask is, do you have an estimate where you think it will increase? Because this was one of the things that was under revenues and not expenditures. So you think it'll be an additional $150,000
For general fund.
for general fund?
Yeah, that's the number we've arrived at.
Is there anything else that it will help besides the PTIF? Or some of our investments, will it help some of that?
Our primary investments are with the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, and then we also have with Morton Investment Advisors. And we invest primarily in treasuries with Morton and CDs. About 70% of our investments with Morton are CDs. And we have several CDs that are maturing in the next 6 months, earning 60 basis points, and they're renewing at 5% or better, for 18 months. So we're locking in some good rates right now.
Good.
Which which helps us on the revenue side.
Will you have maybe some ideas of what those will be, maybe, when you come next?
What the lock-in at?
Yeah, once we lock in, have an idea what those estimates could be, how much will.
That's part of the $150,000.
That's part of the 150,000. Okay. I was hoping it was more.
Be nice.
And we'll continue to watch it closely. But for the general fund, we think that's good news.
It is.
The general fund.
Excellent.
So really, those are the items we wanted to bring up tonight, just knowing that our next meeting will be a pretty heavy meeting with hearings and adoptions and number 6 really is up to the council. If you'd like us to address other items tonight, we'd be happy to do that.
Thank you. Do we have any comments? Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm just curious about the increase in a lot of the fees for the consolidated fee schedule. How were those increases kind of determined? Do we kind of look at other cities to see what they're charging, or do we have certain tools to look at? I'm just curious.
Yeah, we do it a couple different ways. We actually look at what the costs are to provide those services, and we do that with recreation in particular. In regards to community development, Melinda and her team called around to all the cities and did more of a comparison and said we're kind of in the middle of the road with these changes.
Okay.
So that's how that took place.
With some of the the recreational costs, are there any of those where the fees that we charge don't cover all the costs associated with the programs?
I guess the question is what are all the costs? What we typically do with recreation is there are certain fixed costs that we'll cover, like wages and salaries for our recreation folks, but we drill down to specific costs for each program and try to cover the costs related to the program. I guess I really can't answer whether there are some that are not covering full cost or not.
Would it be worth, as a council, looking through some of those programs to see if there's any of them that just are costing the city more money? We don't have a lot of participation from the community.
I think they watch that pretty closely.
Do they? Okay.
But we could ask our recreation folks to take another look at it.
Okay. And I was curious. I asked Councilmember Oakes, the skiing and snowboarding. I'm really curious what that is. And we can always talk to the recreation folks.
That's a program where we offer it to our residents, and then we have instructors up at the ski resort, and we bus the participants up to the ski resort to participate in that program.
Oh, interesting. Okay, thanks.
I'll just add another there. Chris High, she works over rec with Cole. They track each sport individually there, and they really try to monitor their direct costs with the fees they charge to try to match up. What do we charge for basketball? Does it cover all the basketball expenses? So they do monitor that. So I do think a lot of these increases that Cole is suggesting is to help continue to cover the costs for those specific areas. But I think Dean was mentioning there's lots of other indirect costs that go into it that maybe makes it a little more difficult just to say it pays for all the costs. Yeah. But they do try to track that, and I think that's what they're attempting to do here, is to make sure they're just kind of covering the cost.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do we
Are
need
we
a
ready for a
motion?
motion?
Do
Yeah,
need
we
a
do.
motion? We do need a motion?
We do need a motion to move it to, do we? No, we don't? Okay.
I'll make a motion not to make a motion.
Okay, thank you. I was just going to say, we've had so many really great discussions about this, and I really appreciate all the progress. We started out with a deficit of about $2.3 million, and now it's right around $1 million, which is still, I understand, seems like a big deal, but it's really because of costs just really increasing that we can't control. So we've done everything that we can to control, to minimize expenses, to watch our bottom line, and I really appreciate the work that's been done by everybody. Thank you so much for all of your suggestions and all of your hard work and all of your actions taken to get to this point, so.
No, we really appreciate the council this year. We think it's been a real good process to go through and understand the budget, so thank you.
It has, and Dean, this last go-around especially, and Levi, I just want to thank you. The information that you presented has been, to me, so much even better than in years past. Just very thorough, very easy to understand, very easy to read, so I appreciate that.
Levi's our PowerPoint expert.
Thanks, Levi.
Give him the credit.
Great job. Okay, everyone, so let's go to council member reports. Does anyone have anything that, council member Oaks?
No,
would like to
I'll
report?
just, I thought the Parks and Rec folks did a wonderful job for the Memorial Day memorial at the cemetery. And I thought our speaker was phenomenal. And just her message really on live your life, you know, was very poignant, and I appreciate all the folks who were there. But the Parks and Recs folks had the place looking immaculate. So.
Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that. Anyone else?
Mayor.
Oh, yes, Councilmember Hunt?
Youth Court did their last court session before the summer, so that was kind of fun to see them grow. And I know I've said it a lot of times, but they really progressed. Like, they got a lot more confident. They asked good questions, and I'm like so proud of them and everything they've done. So looking forward to doing that again in the fall.
Thank you. Thank you. That takes a lot of time, extra time, so thanks to you guys who are involved in that. And then Youth Council, they are in the process of
Well, I don't know. Maybe reorganize.
Well, just in terms of getting kids for this next school year on board. Yes.
They've done interviews, and it's cool to see the youth.
New group.
The people come out to come to Youth City Council is insane. And watching them interview them is awesome.
It's great. It's great to see the leadership that we have within our city and the kids that are willing to step up and be leaders. So thanks, everybody. All right, Dean. Oh, good.
May I ask one?
Yes, absolutely.
So Tuesday night, or was it last night, the cleanup?
Yes.
How did that go, since I was not able to make it? I'm just curious for the record.
Dean would probably know better. So I didn't have the opportunity to go up like I wanted, but I did talk to Josh, and he said it was outstanding. Many community volunteers. We had some youth groups up there that pulled together, and they got a lot of work done. And it was a city-supported activity, but really led by the community, right, Dean? The volunteers.
Yeah, there were about, probably 50 or 60 people up there cleaning it up. And I noticed the other day that most of us all cleaned up on the lower section. So yeah, we appreciate the help we received.
We have a great team. Okay, Dean, do you have anything?
Just one item. There's been discussion about canceling the meeting, the first meeting in July, the week of the 4th of July.
That makes sense.
We've looked at what's coming up, and we feel like we could cancel that meeting if the city council would like to do that on that week.
Everybody okay with that? See a lot of nodding? Okay.
Okay.
Yep, let's do it. Thank you.
We should ask the Starkeys.
All right. All right, everybody.
July 6th.
July 6th, yes, and they'll notice that. Okay, thanks, Anne Marie. That was a great suggestion. Looking forward at the calendar. Okay. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for coming.
7:54, right on the button.
7 what?
7:54.
Dang.
Yeah, we are efficient.
Hey, Alan, did you